Y'all, have y'all recovered from last week's episode? I hope y'all have. Because snowfall, snowfall, snowfall. I don't know what to say. I think that's why it's taking me so long to make this video, y'all. But welcome, welcome, welcome back to Authentically RGB TV, better known as AABTV, where we live life authentically the way that we are supposed to be. So, if you are new to this channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. If not, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? This is a recap, a little discussion about Snowfall, episode 9 of season 6, the final season. So, without further ado, let's get into this conversation. All right, so let's go ahead and get Louie on out the way. So Louie, y'all know she's been grieving Jerome. She's been dealing with, just her feelings about Teddy, her feelings about Franklin, her feelings about family, and she's just basically like over it. And she, last week she done, worked with Teddy, worked with Franklin, however you flip that coin, to get them to be able to quote unquote get each other. And so the episode opens up with her, getting some stuff together, moving into her car, and she gets a phone call, and it's Franklin, and he's sitting down with Oso. I call him Gustavo, and he lets her know you're about to get raided, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" And so she looks out on the balcony. She sees all the cars pulling up, people running through with guns, about to just bust in her house. So she makes a dash for it, and she ends up at a liquor store or some type of convenience store, crouched over, hitting. While she's running, I'm thinking she gonna get caught, but she didn't. And she finally calls for help. Who does she call for help? Her friend Buckley, which we all know, the dirty cop, the crackhead cop. And if you remember from the funeral episode, she had asked him if Jerome paged him before they came to get her out that warehouse, and he specifically told her no. And she kind of looked at him like, I don't believe you, because you know that when Jerome did call her, he was with Scully, and I'm pretty sure when they had a conversation, Sully told her what was up. And so she calls him, and he's asking, what's going on. She fills him in on it. She feels like Franklin knew all along what they were going to do and waited till the very last minute when they was literally about to walk into her house, let her know that they were going to come in and raid her and try to get her or whatever. So she's crouching down in the car. She's like telling him to take her to some house in some property that she owns. And so he gets to asking her, basically, what am I going to get out of it for me helping you? And that kind of sparked some type of like questions in her mind, I'm sure. And so she let him know, like, I'll give you some dollar amount, and if you just give me to where I need to go. So she gets they get to driving along. Whole time Buckley's like, I gotta pee. He pulls over. She's suspicious of him, but we never know, what I'm saying? We don't know what's going on. So I'm thinking, he's gonna go pee. And homeboy goes behind the tree, didn't know that Louis was following him. And she sees what he's doing. He had to hit the pipe. And so he's coming back around the tree. She done, unbeknownst to him, she done got his gun. She pulls it out on him. And it's basically like, give me your keys. But before she says, give me your keys, she's like, I want to see your pager, your beeper. And he's like, for what? Because you told me that Jerome never called you. I want to make sure. Because you said he didn't. I want to make sure. Because again, we all know that he has that habit. And she's just like, this is probably the reason why you didn't show up. And if it wasn't for you, my husband would still be here. So she has him, the gun pointed at him. She gets it, looks at it, sees Jerome's number. She shoots in the air, and he's like, you crazy, like, don't kill me. She's like, I don't even want to kill you, because I don't want your daughters to have to deal with the fact of you being murdered and your car being stolen and all this other stuff. Like, I ain't gonna kill you, but give me your keys. And she just basically left him stranded and went on about her drive to this property so that she could hide out. So Franklin has the dude from the KGB. He has Teddy. They chained up the things over their head. He's steadily trying to force his will onto Teddy to get him to give him the account number, give him the information that he needs so that he can get his money. Whole time they're trying to beg and plead for their life. In the meantime, here comes Leon, here comes Mama Saint, and he's basically like, keep your eye on them. I got something that I gotta do. So what does he do? He flies Oso out to some unknown place. They have an exchange back and forth, and Oso just walks off. And then Franklin returns. Now, when he returns, he doesn't realize the conversation that had been had. But Mama Saint done talked to KGB, who's trying to convince her to let him go so that he can get Teddy, because there's all types of information on her son that could incriminate him and she won't see him ever again. Then she goes and she's talking to Teddy, and he's letting her know that if she works with him, what he can do, because just trying, like I said, they're just trying to both convince her to let them go. And he says, Teddy lets her know, like, all these things about Alton, because if you all don't remember, she's always wanted Teddy dead, because she believes, just like everybody else, that he has something to do with her husband's disappearance. And the whole time everybody's believing he's dead, Teddy drops the bomb and says, like, no, he's not dead. He's in the prison. I sent him there, da 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 da. And so she's like, you're lying, you're lying. And he's like doing his best to like convince her, in a way manipulate, not in a way, but he is manipulating her. And she's just like, it just to mess with her mind. So she's like all taken aback. She doesn't know whether to believe him or not. But she's just like, I can't handle it no more. And then she gets this idea to come to Franklin and let him know, like, look, just call it quits. And Leon is in agreement with her. Just call it quits. Like, you ain't got to do this no more. Like, what is this doing for us? Look what it has done to you. Look what it's done to your family. And, even V decides to chime in and tell her and give her 2 cents on why Franklin shouldn't just back out and he should keep on going. And Mama Saint was like, shut up, I'm not talking to you. And I was like, ooh, okay. But yeah, she's trying to convince, and Franklin is going crazy. He's like, what do you mean? Like, he took my money that I made. We need the money, like, and all this other stuff. But again, she's just like, just stop it. I want you to stop it. Just think about it. Just think about it. And he's like, eventually everybody's gonna break. So he decides that he's gonna go back in and do whatever it is that he needs to do to get Teddy, to give him the information. And we learned that their properties are struggling. A check didn't bounce, and V is just like, yo, we got to do something, because if the checks start bouncing and we don't got the money for this, and we in this financial like stress, like we're tapped out, or we're almost tapped out in the property downtown, they're gonna look at us and just eat us alive. So we got to do what we got to do. So she comes up with this idea to go get some oil. They show us some corn oil, right? And she decides to go talk to Teddy to, sway him to give them what they want. And she tells him this like story about burning flesh and oil, and how it did this, and how it did change people's minds, and how it traumatized whatever. And I'm like, this girl done lost her mind too. And then if y'all remember, when she was having them pains and she was on the floor holding her stomach, I'm thinking, she's going into labor. Something doesn't happen to the baby. She seems to be fine now. But again, she also is going to ride for her man, and she wants that money too, because she ain't trying to be poor. She ain't trying to be living life, just not having nothing to show for it. And so she's like, no, I'm going to help my man get this money. And so what does Franklin do? He decides to torture Teddy. And if you saw the episode, y'all already know that it was extremely graphic. And I was just like, this show is doing the absolute freaking most. But it's always been some graphic stuff going on in the show. And I was just like, oh, I can't not even watch it. Whole time, Teddy's just prideful. He's arrogant. He's, just like not backing down. And even just like the screams, like V's there, she hears it. The KGB dude still got the thing over, the burlap sack over his head. He hears it. And I'm just like, Franklin. All of this over what? Respect, money, power. It was just crazy. So within this conversation with between Teddy and between Franklin, they talk about, how they even got to know each other. The things that went on when he decided to bring Franklin into this whole entire storyline. And it was very similar to how things are now. And I was just like, wow, this is very full circle moment. Like he tased Teddy, had him, I mean, not Teddy, but Teddy tased Franklin, had him in the warehouse, had him locked up, basically telling him what it is that he was going to do for the CIA and all the other stuff. So it was just like a full circle. So now it's like Franklin is in charge and he's telling him what he needs to do. But again, Teddy's not backing down, even with the burns, not being able to breathe, about to freaking pass out or die, whatever. He's still holding on to the fact that, I'm not giving you what you want. And Franklin was like, that's my money. You did this to me, you did this to my family, and all this other stuff. And he basically was telling him, no, I did this, but I didn't force you. You know what I'm saying? I didn't force this on you. I didn't force the drugs in people's hands. And even Mama Saint had a conversation with him about that. And he's just like, I didn't force people to do it. And it was just like I said, a back and forth. And then of Franklin, it was kind of like he wanted to do it, but then again he didn't want to. And then Teddy even let him know, like, you turned on me, so I wanted to hurt you because you were supposed to be my teammate. You were supposed to work with me, and look what you did to me. This is why I took the money, and I also took the money because it's not your money. And then he tried to give this whole spiel about how it was for the government and all this other stuff. But we all know, like Franklin knew, that's bullcrap. Like you did this because, and even Teddy said I did it because you got all the glitz and the glamour, and I'm the one that's getting you this. Like you owe me. So yes, do I think that I deserve this money? Yes, I do. And again, just a back and forth conversation about who deserves what, the respect, the power, the money, the feelings, like all of it. You did this to me. No, you did this to me. In the meantime, Teddy done, like I said, he done been missing. So the fellow CIA guy and nurse girl, she done came to, his little hideout spot, and the CIA guy is like, who are you? She introduced herself because she's familiar a little bit, and she's like, are you such and such? And he's like, yes. Are you such and such? She's like, yeah. Have you heard from Teddy? Have you heard from Teddy? No, no, no. So they're just like, I don't know, what I'm saying, what is. And it was just like a small little piece of the episode. And so finally Teddy and Franklin come to an agreement, and this is the part where everything decides to turn left. Teddy proposes that they split the money, the 73 mil, I believe it is. Decides like, you take half, I take half. At first Frank was like, are you serious? Like, what do you mean? Like, I want it all. But then he's just like, I'd rather have that than I have nothing. So he was just like, this is what I'm gonna do. We're gonna meet up with my guy that works for the CIA, and I'm gonna transfer the money over, and you're gonna hand us the dude from the KGB, and we're gonna go our separate ways. And Franklin was like, cool, I can do that. After, giving it some thought, he lets his mama know, like, what was up. She's pissed. She's like, are you kidding me? Do you know what they did to Alton? Do you know what they have done to our family? Again, the blame game of all these other things. And she's like, she's pissed. She's just like, I don't want to ever talk to you again. But one thing I do know is that I don't want Leon around none of this mess. I don't want V around none of this mess. I don't even want my grandson around none of this mess. So whenever y'all decide to make this trade-off and go transfer the money and all of that stuff, I'm going along with y'all. And like she said, after this, I don't want nothing to do with you. And I was just like, oh, wow. Even after all the violence that she's seen, all the things that she's done, even Teddy trying to convince her of the wrong that she's done and how she's using the drug money to buy properties and have all this money and all this other stuff. Like I said, get into her head about the things that he's done. She's still like, I still don't want him to go. I still don't want him dead. So I'm like, girl, which one is it? You gotta pick. But like I said, she was pissed. She was really upset that Franklin decided to do that. And so She's like, if you hand them over, if you hand KGB over, they have all this information on you anyway, and they could really, like I said, they could really send you off or kill you or hurt you, and you're gonna do it. You're gonna give in. You didn't know what he's done, and he's just like, Mama, I got this. So he finally gets these account numbers that whole time he's been wanting. That's been in Teddy's wallet in his pocket, and I'm just like, sir, Teddy, you could have avoided all this third degree burns all over your body. You could have avoided being handcuffed to the chair. All you had to do was why you didn't say it at first. But still remember that he still don't trust Franklin, and Franklin really still don't trust him. And so that's, I feel like it's another reason why Mama Saint went with him. So they call the CIA dude, lets them know where to meet them at the bank or at the phone booth. They decide to, like I said, go and get Teddy together. Teddy's still handcuffed because, like I said, there's no trust there. And he wants to make sure, well, Franklin wants to make sure that he does what he says. They didn't even bring, when the CIA guy met up with them, was like, where's the dude from KGB? They basically like, I want to make sure y'all gonna do what y'all do before I hand them over to you. So let's get it. Whole time, again, Mama Saint is looking around. She's been thinking ever since he's done messed with her head about her husband, because she felt like he was gone and he was dead and Teddy had something to do with it. Then Teddy dropped the bomb like, no, he ain't been dead. He's in jail somewhere. And so even when Teddy brought that up to Franklin and told him, I talked about Alton and stuff, and Franklin flat out told him, like, I don't care about him. I don't care about him. And so I felt like the emotion behind that, the feeling of that, because just imagine if you're thinking that somebody's been gone this whole entire time, you thinking they did, but they really sitting up in a prison, and the person that's telling you this is the person that you feel is responsible for their disappearance. You're gonna believe it because, why wouldn't you? And so Teddy gets on the phone. Everybody's standing around. He's calling the bank. He's ready to transfer the money over so that, him and Franklin can go their separate ways and call it even, I guess. So as he's waiting on hold, he has this air about him. And Franklin's mama goes up to him and is just like, tell me what prison that he's in. And he's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's dead. And when he said that, that was a bomb too. Because again, she's sitting there having a conversation with you. You're pouring your heart out of what you're going to do for this person and what you're going to, where her husband is. And it was all a lie. It was all a plot, a plan, a ploy for you to just get her to free you and then just F her family over. And while he's on the phone and Franklin's like, yes, finally, his mama turns around and offs Teddy in front of the CIA guy and in front of Franklin. Right before Franklin was going to get his money. Right before Teddy was going to tell the lady on the other end at the bank what the password was so that she would know who was calling and that everything will be everything. Poor Franklin just died. He should have just died right along with Teddy. The way he dropped down to try to get Teddy on the phone, trying to smack him to wake him up and say the password, and the scream that he let out of the frustration because again he was this close, and then his own mother decides to react out of emotion and just kill somebody, but she been wanting him dead. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. Franklin is like, why did you do that? And she's just like, again, the title of the episode is Sacrifice. She's sacrificing her freedom all for, whatever reason. And everything that they have sacrificed is now come to an end because nobody wins. Teddy's dead. The CIA don't get what they want. Franklin is now gonna probably be even crazier. He's not gonna get the money that he's been, done lost his mind for. It's just so much. And like I said, he runs off, the CIA guy runs off, and the mama's just left with her hands up as the police are starting to surround her. And then the episode just goes off. And I was just like, oh my gosh. This week is the last episode, so what the heck is gonna happen? And you see the previews to the next episode after each new episode, but it still doesn't do the episodes justice at all once you watch it in its totality. But I'm like, it's the last episode, and I know that if I thought this one went out with a bang, I know this one is probably gonna be even way better. But Franklin did not get that money, y'all, and I don't know if he ever will. So who's to say how everything else is going to turn out? But I already know it's going to make that man go even crazier. So I hope you guys enjoyed the recap, and I'll see y'all later on in the week for another episode. Peace.